What if one of the most powerful political ideas ever written was also one of the most terrifying? Not because it promoted violence, but because it questioned whether kindness and morality can ever truly control human behavior. More than 2,000 years ago, a Chinese philosopher wrote ideas so brutally realistic, rulers feared them, used them, and then tried to erase them from history. While famous philosophers like Confucius preached harmony, ethics, and compassion, another thinker studied power from a completely different perspective. He believed societies do not collapse because rulers lack virtue. They collapse because rulers trust people too much. This philosopher was Han Feizi, the architect of legalism, a philosophy that replaced morality with law, trust with surveillance, and kindness with control. His ideas would help build the first unified Chinese empire and terrify rulers for centuries afterward. To understand why Han Feizi's ideas were so extreme, we must understand the world he lived in. Ancient China during the Warring States period was not simply unstable. It was collapsing into chaos. Between 475 and 21 BC, China was divided into rival kingdoms constantly fighting for survival. Cities burned repeatedly. Entire populations were enslaved or executed after defeat. Kings were assassinated by their own ministers. Armies clashed with a scale and brutality rarely seen in ancient history. In this environment, philosophy was not intellectual entertainment. It was political weaponry. Every ruler searched desperately for ideas that could guarantee survival. Most scholars offered moral solutions. Confucianism promised harmony through ethical leadership. Taoism promoted balance through natural order, but Han Feizi observed something unsettling. Neither philosophy seemed to stop war, betrayal, or corruption. Instead of asking how to make rulers morally good, Han Feizi asked a darker question: what if people are simply not designed to behave morally at all? Han Feizi believed human beings are driven primarily by self-interest, not evil, but predictable. People pursue wealth, security, and personal advantage whenever possible. If laws are weak, people exploit them. If rulers show mercy, power structures weaken. This led Han Feizi to a shocking conclusion: governments built on trust will eventually collapse. Only governments built on strict systems of law and punishment can survive long-term. Legalism introduced three core pillars of state survival: folk law, clear, public, and unavoidable legal codes; Shu administrative method, techniques to monitor and control officials; Shi authority, the absolute centralized power of the ruler. Under legalism, laws must be applied equally regardless of rank or status. Rewards must be automatic. Punishments must be severe enough to deter rebellion completely. Personal emotions must never influence governance. But Han Feizi's most frightening belief was directed not toward citizens, but toward rulers themselves. He believed rulers should never fully trust anyone, not ministers, not generals, not even family members. Han Feizi viewed politics as a battlefield of hidden ambition. He argued that loyalty often disguises self-interest, and unchecked advisors could manipulate weak rulers. His solution was political isolation. Rulers must conceal personal intentions, encourage competition among officials, prevent concentration of power among ministers, control access to information within the government. This system created stability, but at the cost of trust. So many ancient scholars, legalism sounded less like philosophy and more like a blueprint for authoritarian control. Yet one kingdom saw it differently. The state of Qin adopted legalism completely, and it changed history forever. Qin rulers implemented strict bureaucratic systems. Agriculture and military service became mandatory national priorities. Merchants and scholars were restricted to prevent social imbalance. Local nobles lost independent power. The government became centralized and disciplined within a few generations. Qin transformed from a struggling frontier state into the most powerful military machine in China. Into 21 BC, Qin's leader achieved what no ruler had accomplished before. He unified China under one empire. He became known as Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. Under his rule, China saw massive state-driven projects, standardized currency, unified writing systems, road networks connecting vast territories, early construction of Great Wall defenses, legalist efficiency, allowed unprecedented administrative control, but the cost was immense. Qin Shi Huang's empire was powerful, but deeply feared. Mass forced labor projects caused widespread suffering. Strict censorship limited intellectual expression. Harsh punishments created resentment across society. After the emperor's death, rebellion spread rapidly. The Qin dynasty collapsed within years. Future Chinese rulers faced an impossible dilemma. Legalism worked, but it was politically dangerous. Subsequent dynasties publicly rejected legalism, but privately preserved its administrative systems. Confucianism became the moral face of Chinese governance. Legalism remained the structural backbone. This hybrid political model influenced Chinese governance for centuries. Publicly, moral leadership and social harmony. Privately, strict bureaucratic control and legal enforcement. Han Feizi's writings were studied carefully, but rarely celebrated openly. His ideas were seen as too powerful and too dangerous to fully embrace. Han Feizi's philosophy still influences modern political debates. His ideas raise enduring questions. Can stability exist without strong enforcement? Do moral values alone prevent corruption? Is centralized authority necessary during national crises across modern governance systems? These questions remain unresolved. Some scholars argue legalism reflects uncomfortable truths about power, truths that societies prefer not to acknowledge. Han Feizi never ruled an empire. He never commanded armies. Yet his ideas shaped governments controlling millions of lives. His philosophy challenges humanity's deepest political belief, that civilization progresses through morality alone. Instead, Han Feizi suggested civilization survives through systems designed to control human nature. Throughout history, societies have struggled to balance freedom and stability, trust and enforcement, compassion and control. Han Feizi represents the extreme edge of this balance. The darkest philosophers often reveal the most uncomfortable truths. Han Feizi asked a question that still echoes across political systems today. If humans are driven by self-interest, can morality alone hold civilization together, or will power always decide the fate of nations?